Hello, Theo here. When I started this channel, I had a couple of key things that I wanted to focus on. First was our locals. I wanted to show off the local scene, I wanted to show off the actual locals themselves. It was really important to me. Second was to put out some videos on what it was like to attend events, because I know that it can be nerve-wracking for people who have never gone to go check out an event. And with this video, I'll be touching on the third thing that I really wanted to make content about: tournament organizing. I don't feel like we have enough information and content out there on YouTube right now about tournament organizing and what it's like running an event. In the future, I'd like to do more content with our local tournament organizers to try and help guide people in how to run events, how to work with StarGG, but I just wanted to start here to introduce my local TOs. So we're going to start with an interview with the absolute TOing GOAT of Vegas, DC the Great. With that said, enjoy the interviews. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I am DC. I am the TO of Bragging Rights, the creator of Bragging Rights. What else? You guys don't know my tag? My tag is Gray Frog locally, DC the Great if I'm out there. So.
You TO, but you also are an event organizer. Can you explain the difference and what you think the difference is between an event organizer and a TO?
I would say that they do share responsibilities, but there are some differences that could be highlighted. As a TO, or tournament organizer, I want to highlight the word organizer. It is my job to make sure that everything is organized during the event. So an example of that would be like, you come in, you pay your venue fee, then you pay your entry fee, okay? As an organizer, if I have other things going on, like say, hey, we're gonna stop for announcements, it's my job to make sure that that goes in order as a tournament organizer. As an event planner, my job is to make sure that everything is there that needs to be there. So it's my job as the planner to make sure that the players show up. It's my job as the planner to make sure that the setups, the monitors, the whole production is there. You know what I'm saying? I have to make sure if there's sponsors that are involved, they're there, vendors there. That's all falls on the event planner. The organizer doesn't necessarily have to do that. He just has to make sure that when that stuff is there, it gets organized. Make sense?
Yep.
And
yeah, that's good.
That's what I think the biggest difference is, but they do share the responsibilities. So.
What are some of the challenges you run into as a TO?
Challenges that I run into as a TO, there are actually several challenges. Power outages, if that happens, a player's controller interrupting another person's match, like the monitors go out during the match. Things like that can tend to run into time, and time is very important for a TO, especially when you are sharing space or borrowing space. You want to respect the time. So those are things that I can say that I run into on that end of things. And then other things like players showing up late, how to handle that when that happens. Like if it's a necessity, for example, like if it's one of those nights where it's a light night, then I have to consider like, okay, we might need the people to be there. We could maybe start the bracket a little later. Or it could be a night where it's just busy, it's crazy traffic out there. So I have to be kind of mindful and considerate. And these are some of the challenges I could run into because say I'm holding up for maybe one person, two people. That doesn't mean everybody else wants to wait. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of just being considerate that goes into it, and it could be challenging sometimes. With that being said, I've made the mistake of not putting a person into the bracket and then starting the tournament. We're like 3 rounds in, like, yo, DC, I'm not in the bracket. I'm like, oh shit. So that, and then I think the worst one of all, I ain't gonna lie, is when I have a player that enters the bracket for multiple games. And then when it's time for them to play, they are nowhere to be found. That is very challenging for me as a TO because if we have a building full of gamers playing multiple different games, and the venue says, hey, I want to get out of here at 11, and you're doing stuff like that, that becomes very challenging for me because now I got to hunt you down. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to be the guy to disqualify you. So that's challenging for me as a TO as well. You know what I mean? But other than that, like, I can't really say it's too challenging because, in my mind anyway, to a certain extent, I understand what comes with this and I've already accepted it. So I don't see it as a challenge, but those are some highlighted challenges if I had to point them out.
Who should try to be a TO, and what kind of characteristics do they need?
I think the gamers, or a gamer, like if you're a gamer, then you should be a TO. Or not you should be a TO, but like if you're gonna TO, then you should be a gamer, right? As far as the characteristics, you need to be a person that is open-minded. You need to be open-hearted. You need to be a person who can get along with, I literally want to say virtually anyone. Like, you got to be able to fit in any crowd, because as an organizer, you're dealing with all different type of personalities, and you kind of got to just vibe with it, right? And it's a choice. So you have to be a person, and this is going to play into the open-hearted and open-mindedness, but you have to be okay with being led. If you're going to lead, you got to be led. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really big on that. Just a side note, even I have mentors for the things that I do. Like, I'm not perfect. I have people who help me and people who guide me and kind of show me the ropes. So you're going to need all of that if you're going to want to be an organizer.
Is there any guidance you could give to people at home who might want to start running their own events or want to help their TOs?
If you want to become a TO, or even just help, but I'm going to give this answer for becoming a TO, I would highly suggest that you not only be a gamer, and I'm speaking just from an FGC standpoint, okay? You want to pick a game and get respectably good at it, and then befriend or get to know the majority of that community. It doesn't have to be all of them. Pick your game, get involved with that community. If you want to become a TO. If you want to just help, show up to events, help out, and be consistent. And what I mean by this is, look at it like 90-day process, you know what I'm saying? Like, or 3 months, right? Show up, for example, because we do it once a week, right? Every week you show up for 3 months so that you really get a feel of the consistencies, and that'll give you a chance to see any inconsistencies that might happen or any mishaps we might run into, you know what I'm saying? And then how we deal with that. So, yeah, and it'll give you a clear idea on if you want to take it to the next level. During that time, you're probably making friends, right? So, yeah, that would be my advice.
I talk a lot about on my channel, I've been talking a lot about contributing to your community, of like trying to help out and feel like you're involved in the community. You need to contribute. And that's kind of sounds like what you're talking about a little bit.
Yeah, so, I mean, because I get that question with people, they just want to come help out, you know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is, there's so many avenues that we have, right? You could run the stream, commentate, run the bracket. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can even set up the bracket, whatever. But be consistent in whatever it is that you're doing. If you want to be the person that says, hey, I'm going to donate to the pot every now and then, do that. You know what I'm saying? If you want to create gifts, prizes, like we got people in the community who do that, just be consistent in whatever it is that you choose to do.
How did you grow bragging rights into our biggest local in Vegas?
If I'm being honest, the answer to that is, it's not really a simple short answer. Like, I would probably need to do a documentary so that you guys could get the fullest answer to that question. And I say this because I'm very spiritual. I tend to include God in everything that I do. So with that, I've had several different thoughts that have come to me about bragging rights and what to do with it, how it's gonna grow, like everything, you know what I mean? I've gone through some ups and downs. For the sake of of this interview, I could say that it started with my vision, right? But first, it was my vision about me as a player, and as time went on, it became my vision about the Vegas FGC, and then that evolved into my vision about the FGC for America as a whole, and me wanting to have Vegas be the capital for the FGC in America. Yeah, I constantly think about like how we can get better. So I think that just with my consistency, right, of my thoughts on it and me putting the action behind what it is that I want to do, all while knowing that I cannot do this all by myself, right? How I did it, I had a vision, I stuck to it, and as a result, I met a bunch of people who literally just fell in my lap. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to find them. Like, they just came to me and they were willing to do their parts. Like Asa, actually, he told me, like, I want to say maybe last year, maybe a year before that, he was just like, yo, D, like, you're extremely busy, like, trying to do all of this. He's like, let me do what I'm good at and you do what you're good at. And I was like, okay, cool. That helps a lot, tremendously, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I call him my ace. But not even just him, there's other people who have helped me bring it to this point as well. But it initially starts with the vision. There was a lot of me just thinking about it, putting prayer into it, a lot of investment that went into it. In the beginning, I spent a lot of money. And just being there even when there's no one there. That type of consistency. Like, I'm there when Bragging Rights had 4 people. I'm there when Bragging Rights has 55 people. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how I did it, I guess. But the biggest thing is I always give it back to the community, because I can have the vision, I can have the plan, but if everyone just gave me the finger, then I have nothing but my vision and my plan. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much of how I did it, but how we did it. Everyone has their roles to play. I can't play every role. You know what I'm saying? Even what you're doing right now, I can't, not that I can't do that, but I don't have time to do everything. You know what I'm saying? And we need people like you. We need people like G-Tech, you know what I'm saying, who are consistent. All of these guys help me to bring Bragging Rights where it is and where Bragging Rights is going. But honestly, man, yeah, we're gonna have to do a documentary. Because there's a lot, man. There's a lot. I do want to give some shout outs for this interview if I can, because if we're talking about how I did this, I could not have done it. I want to say who I could not have done it without, specifically. First off, Josh. He is known as Josh the Myth, or JTM. People know him as Josh Ray, all that, right? He's an old head in our community. Andy from PSG. He's the one who first opened his doors to me and let me do what I do. And without him, Bragging Rights would have never even got off the ground. Either that or I would have had to find somewhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? But he was the one. Asa, we all know why. Asa has just been there. He's been there more than anyone else, in my opinion, when it comes to helping me do it. And more recent guys like Nugget, can't do it without him. He brings a setup every single time. And that's very important, because time is a thing, right? So Nugget and everything that he does, he brings converters, he brings whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he's knowledgeable when it comes to other things too. So he's been useful. Sumineko is another person that I want to highlight as well, because he's just fucking smart. He's literally like all around. Like, oh, you need me to stream? You need me to commentate? You need me to run the bracket? He can do it all. You know what I'm saying? And he's amazing for that. G-Tech is another one that I want to highlight, because G-Tech is someone that I just met, like, randomly, in my opinion. I didn't know who he was. Someone just told me to go to him for advice one day, I think on a flyer. And he's like, why is DC coming to me? And I was like, because they sent me to you. But it was a slow start to G-Tech and I's relationship, but I think it was a really cool one. And G-Tech has been consistent in what he does at Bragging Rights as well. So I'd like to highlight him. Brian, because without Brian's shop, Bragging Rights would not have come this far. There's one more person who I want to mention who's not here, but he was also a big help with making Bragging Rights fun when I needed it to be fun. His name's Kage Meme. I don't know if you know him or not, but when people see this interview, they'll know who he is. That's my little bro right there, man. And he was the one who like used to do all of the, I don't know if you're familiar, but I used to do bounties on Bragging Rights and make wanted posters and stuff like that. He was the one that made the posters for me. And then he was also the one that was posting like the winners and stuff like that before Asa took over doing that. So I wanted to shout him out too, because although he's not here physically, he's definitely with us in spirit. I still talk to him every now and then. It's my boy. And so, I mean, again, the community, man. It's all about the community and everyone who pitches in and does their parts.
In your current main fighting game, which character do you hate the most?
All right. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't necessarily hate any character in the game, but I do have my kryptonites. And my kryptonites are King and Eddie. I fucking like those guys. Like, they get on my nerves. It doesn't matter who's using them. Like, especially when it comes to Eddie. Like, King, I can deal with because King is really 50-50. You know what I'm saying? If you can get past a lot of his throws, you can kind of beat up King if you can manage that, right? But Eddie, man, there's just something so annoying about that character, man. Like, his animations, all the little stuff he does. I've laughed at it and everything, and I still struggle. Like, it's just whatever. Just pick Eddie. If you want to beat me, pick Eddie. And just do whatever.
Yes, sir. That's what I do.